Oh, we'll put it right next to little Yurio. Oh my god, you guys. Okay, is anybody else out there super into gay animes? Like specifically gay ones? I'm really close to this camera. Yuri on Ice was basically my awakening as an anime fan. Then we graduated to Given, and it just keeps going since then. It is 108 degrees in Los Angeles, and I'm wearing black. But I love how in my first video I was like, I'm going to be discreet about where I live. If you go back in like the last 5 videos I've posted, every single one of them I mentioned the fact that I live in LA. Oh my god, you guys, maybe we could do a drinking game one of these videos where we just take a shot every time I mention the fact that I'm from LA. Let's do it. This video is gonna get us crunk. Wow, it's me, the Buy Book Boy, with a new intro video. Big shout out to Emily Reads Books for teaching me a few things. If you're new to my channel, my name is Logan. I am a chaotic bisexual and I read books. So we're about halfway through August. If you take away the books that I'm reading for book clubs and things like that, that gives me about 4 books that I've read, all of which have bisexual main characters. Let's get into it. The first book I read in August is Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. Oh my god, you guys. In the words of the Italian grandma, she's so good. Oh, grandma hasn't come out in a while. We kind of toned her down a little bit there for a while. We're bringing her back. You cannot escape the Italian grandma. In one of my first videos, I reviewed the book The Hours by Michael Cunningham, and in that book, he's writing about Virginia Woolf writing this book. And while I loved the commentary and the bisexuality of all of the women in that book, and just the representation in general, when I saw this on the shelves at Barnes & Noble, I couldn't resist. Basically, this book follows 24 hours in the life of Mrs. Dalloway, who is a high society woman as she prepares for a party that brings back together a bunch of her old friends. She reminisces on life, she talks about all kinds of stresses, she reminisces and then reconnects with her forgotten secret lesbian lover. It's basically Pride and Prejudice, but if Elizabeth was bisexual. The prose is beautifully written, and I am in love. There's also this incredible ending scene when you finally get to the party where Mrs. Dalloway is wanting to be with her old friends that are there that represent like her old life and all of the wonderful things of her youth, yet she's also constantly being torn away by the responsibilities of being a high society wife of a politician. It's really good, and it's very well done. And I really enjoy what Madame Virginia Woolf did in this book. 4 stars because there are a couple of times when it breaks from Mrs. Dalloway's perspective and goes to another character's perspective in which the character is just monologuing about things that I don't care about. And that was kind of hard to get through, but that's only a couple of chapters. Also, when I say chapters with this book, it's a vague representation because there aren't chapters. It's literally all just broken up into one long stream of consciousness, which I found really cool and different. I don't think I've ever read a book like that. Next I read Giovannis Room by James Baldwin. Oh my god, this book made me feel so many things, you guys. If Mrs. Dalloway is the bisexual version of Pride and Prejudice, then Giovanni's Room is the bisexual love child of Breakfast at Tiffany's and The Way We Were. It's very good, very emotional, and very polarizing in my opinion. This was the book of the month for the gay book club that I've been a part of and reading. It's been very good. Basically, this book is set in the 1950s. It's about an American dude who was on a holiday in the 1950s in Paris, and he is exploring around. He has been a closeted bisexual for a very long time and has only acted on it once, I think. And he meets this Italian boy who is a bartender in Paris named Giovanni. They connect, romance happens, they go back to Giovanni's room, they actually move in together for a little bit. All this time, we as the reader know that the main character, David, is actually on holiday because he's running away from his responsibilities and his impending engagement to Helena, or Helena? I think it's Helena. Yeah, I was raised in Montana. I'm just gonna say Helena because I am biased. Is it even Helena? It's Hella. I'm a dumbass. It's Hella. You guys. He's running away from his engagement because he's a closeted bisexual and he doesn't know if he wants to marry a woman. And basically, this book is a really cool and self-aware exploration of what the emotional journey is for a closeted person deciding if they want to commit to exploring the more controversial, shall we say, at this time period in the 1950s when it was illegal to be gay and married, or be gay at all. It's really good and very well written. Now, that being said, there were times in this book where I did feel a bit of what I like to coin as Brokeback Mountain frustration. Shall we define? Brokeback Mountain frustration is a terminology coined by yours truly, in which an LGBTQ plus closeted character cheats on their lover of the opposite sex with a lover of the same sex in order to avoid public humiliation and yet still explore the bounds of pleasure available to those of us attracted to both sexes. Basically, I get frustrated when the main character is cheating and then complains about their life falling apart because they're cheating. This is a personal problem of mine. Do I understand the very real historical significance and accuracy in which multiple LGBTQ plus people were forced to have spouses of the same sex, or spouses of the opposite sex, and take lovers of the same sex because they could literally be put to death for crimes because of being gay? Yes, I get that. And while this book is very, very, very good and points out the fact that all of the awful things that happened to David at the end are because he was cheating on Hella, when he was in Paris where it was legal and he could have just stayed in Paris with Giovanni and lived there legally as lovers because the Parisians love the gays. Back to the rant. The fact that this trope is still used today in literature set today and paints cheating on your spouse as this wonderful romantic thing that everyone should be doing that's okay infuriates me. Because if we're going to battle the stereotype that bisexual people especially are only here for the sex, then we need to actually start proving that with our lives and our literature. However, at the end of this book, it is very well stated that since they are in Paris, not America, where it is completely legal in the 1950s to be in a homosexual relationship, as far as I know. I don't know, I guess fact check that for me. But anyway, David could have stayed with Giovanni and been just fine and written Hella and been like, yo, I don't love you, I don't think you love me, let's break this off, let's call it a day. Coulda, but he didn't. And thusly, a lot of sad things happen. Again, this is written in the 1950s, therefore the language is beautiful and poetic, and I read it in about a day. Honestly, give this book a 5-star. It was very easy to read and I loved it. Next, I read Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, I think that is. McQuiston? It's Irish. Big shout out to my best friend from college, Cassandra D. Brooks, for recommending this book to me. I have never been so happy and depressed at the same time while reading a book, because this book is a piece of political fiction set in an alternate timeline of the United States, in which, rather than getting the president that we have today, I will leave my political views out of this, we had a female president win the election in 2016. And thusly, we have a far more forward-thinking political structure than we do right now. In said alternate reality, the son of the President of the United States, so the first son of the United States, and the son of the Queen of England, which I think makes him the Prince of Wales, that might be a lie, they meet. And at first they are enemies because they are both celebrities and painted as celebrities and pitted against each other. And then through a beautiful wedding cake debauchery right out of a Hallmark movie, they are forced to pretend to be best friends. And then they become lovers. Oh my god, you guys. Just realized that my glasses are still on my head. It's basically like the gay version of A Christmas Prince. Also, there is a lot of criticism about the characters in this book, and I will say that I loved them all. Do I think that every single character in this book was written like a millennial theater kid? Yes. Do I have a problem with that? know, because all of my friends are millennial theater kids. Now to the critics of this book, I will concede that the political elements in this book are, shall we say, a bit forced, a bit unnatural, and very incorrect, to say the least. In the back of the book, she claims that she did a lot of research on the political sides and discussion of this novel. And while I believe her, I do not see where certain arguments that are brought up in this book are realistic or actually happen in the modern state of the United States of America and British relations. That being said, this book is not a political thriller. And in the wise words of yours truly, myself, one does not read 50 Shades of Grey looking for financial advice. Overall, I read it in like 3 days. It was really good. I also forced my boyfriend to read it with me because I was like, you need to read something. And he, we called each other. We talked about it on speaker. It was a good time. It was a good time. It's a 4-star book. It's not a 5-star. It's not the most riveting romance I've ever read. But it's not a 2-star because it was really good, and I like it more than a 3-star. So the last book on this list is a little different. It is a memoir. It is called How We Fight for Our Lives by Saeed Jones. Saeed is a Black gay man who is currently alive and writing about his experience growing up as a Black gay man in America, and basically how he, as one of the most endangered subsets of humanity, especially in America, one of the most likely to die a young death in America, how he has survived this long. This was another book that we read for the gay book club that I'm in. I really, really enjoyed it. I will say I read memoirs differently than I read fiction, because since it is a real person's real life story, we can't sit here and be like, oh, but I don't like the ending. Oh, I wish that they would have had this resolution. Oh, I wish this. Because in theory, a memoir is a completely true story, and we can't edit real life. That's not how. You can't go through life with a red pen. That was weirdly sage-like. You guys, I turned 23 recently, and let me tell you what, I have graduated from the young dumb gay to the old wise and still dumb gay. It's great. It's good. Anyway, I preface this by saying I understand that as a white bisexual man, I hold certain privileges that this man does not have. But I did really relate to the narrative from the first half of the book, in which Saeed describes growing up LGBTQ+ in a really small religious town and the struggles that are therefore in that. I also really related to his exploration of what happens when an LGBTQ+ person goes to college and is, for the first time in their life, given the opportunity to explore their sexuality and perhaps enjoy things that they were not allowed in said small town. A very pivotal part of this book would be the relationship between Saeed and his single mother. And the second half of this book more becomes a love letter / apology letter to his mother in which I feel like he's basically saying all the things that he wishes he said to her when she was alive. Not gonna cry on camera, okay. It's really emotional. It's very good. I would say if we were gonna break down the title of this book, I would say the first half of this book is about him growing into the LGBTQ+ person that he is. So that would be how I fight for my life. And the second half being more about his mother and him understanding all of the struggles and sacrifices she made as a single Black woman in America to put her son through college and give him a better life. I would title that second half, How She Fought for My Life. Oh, that's really getting really emotional here. I'm sorry. Basically, I give this book 5 stars. I would say it's a very important read in the current political climate of America, and you can pick it up anywhere because I bought this book in an airport. I really think it's worth the read. It's a very fast read. I read it in like a day. It's the only struggle I'm having in this book club is book clubs are paste things in which they say we're going to read to page X here and talk about it, and then read to page Y and talk about it again this week. And I, being an impatient person who reads fast, both times have read the entire book in one sitting and then went, crap. But that's all I have for you. If you've read any of these books and have other commentary, please feel free to sound off in the comments below. And let me know what some of your favorite bisexual literary characters are, because I am always looking for recommendations, and I love reading about people that are like me, because I'm a narcissist. And if you want semi-regular, chaotic, bisexual content, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell down below so you can get my videos whenever I decide to post them. And until next week, this has been the Bi Book Boy, and I'm saying bye-bye.